Hey Joey, it's April, so here is the March wrap-up. I am doing things a little bit differently this month because I thought it would be interesting, and I'm already regretting my decisions. This is gonna be every book I got or read in March. So I'm hoping that this giant stack doesn't fall down. It goes, like, not to the ground, but pretty far. So we'll start out, and we're gonna move a little slowly as to not cause any avalanches. The first book I acquired in March on the 2nd is Better Together by Christine Riccio. I read Again But Better in February, and so I wanted this, and I got a $10 signed Barnes & Noble exclusive edition at my Half Price Books. So I got that on the 2nd. On the 2nd, I finished Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. I then acquired this physical copy of it, because I had an ARC. I acquired the physical copy on the 4th. So that is both the next book I read and the next book I acquired was Promise Me Sunshine. This was a 5-star, easy, might be my best book of the year. This is following Lenny and Miles. Lenny is going through a grief journey because she has lost her best friend and she doesn't know how to go on, and Miles helps her go on. And I love this book dearly. Everyone should read it. So that was the next book I acquired and the first book I finished in March. This next one is Wild Side by Elsie Silver. I read this the day it came out on the 5th on my Kindle, and then I picked up my pre-ordered copy on the 6th. This was a 4.25 star for me. I love Elsie Silver's writing. I love this town. I love all of it. I just couldn't connect with the, like, wrestling element, and they just weren't my favorite kind of characters. So, but I still like it. I love this series, so I gave that 4.25 stars. Then I read, off of my TBR, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. I gave this 3.5 stars. I just, like, I don't know. I felt like kind of the whole time I knew where we were going, and so I wasn't pulled to keep going because I was like, oh well, this thing's just gonna happen, and that thing did happen, and so it was kind of a letdown. But I did really like the way that it was written. I want to read more T. Williams, but this was a 3.5 for me. So got that off the TBR, the first actual thing that came off the TBR this month. Then next, on the 8th, I picked up Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan at my Half Price Books. I have book 2 in this, like, interconnected series, and book 3 comes out soon, but I didn't have book 1, and I wanted to read book 1 first, obviously. They're interconnected standalone, so I know I technically could have read them in whatever order, but I picked this up hoping to read that soon. Then on the 9th, I picked up a paperback copy of Funny Story by Emily Henry. I have paperbacks of all of her books, and then the hardcover of Happy Place and Funny Story that came out in hardcover first, but I like having the paperback collection, so I picked up that. Next, on the 10th, I got in Serpent and the Wings of Night and Ashes and the Starcursed King. I got the hardcover editions of these from Penguin Books because I have the novella and the 3rd book in hardcover, and I want to continue to have the series. I haven't read them yet, which is why I hadn't bought them yet, but then I decided that I wanted them anyway, and so I got them on Penguin Books for $15 a piece, which I felt like was pretty good. So got those. Then I read The Enemy. I listened to this on the 11th of March. I just, like, listened to it all day at work. I love Sarah Adams so much, particularly, like, the fact that most of her stuff is closed door. Her most recent novel, her most recent 2, have had, like, one scene that she tells you is, like, not clean, like, is spice. But I just, like, especially when I'm listening to an audiobook, I don't love listening to spice, so I like to listen to a Sarah Adams book. So I gave this 5 stars. I had such a good time with it. I was, like, cracking up at work. So finished that on the 11th. Also on the 11th, I finished Shoot Your Shot by Lexi Lafleur Brown. I got an ARC of this. I gave it 3.75 stars. It was just a hockey romance. I thought it was fine. Then I listened to The Spell Shop. This is my beautiful Owl Crate edition. I listened to this at work on the 12th. I also gave this 5 stars. I was like crying with tears of joy because it was just so sweet and perfect, and I am glad that I am really bad at reading Owlcrate books, but I've done really well this last like 2 months at finally getting some of them off of my TBR. So read The Spell Shop, gave it 5 stars. I also, then the next day at work on the 13th, I listened to Hello Stranger. Catherine Center's books are also like closed door, no spice. So again, love listening to it. This was not my favorite though. I have read 2 other Catherine Center books that I liked a great deal. This I gave 3.25 stars because it felt like the characters were cartoons in like a negative way. Like they had like canned personality traits and they never strayed from them, and I didn't really love that. And it just like, there also is like a twist. It's not really a twist. It's like very clear, and maybe it was supposed to be clear, but I just kind of like, I was like, girl, please pick up on this thing I'm clearly picking up on, and she never did, and that just kind of irritated me. So 3.25 stars, but I still enjoyed it. I was glad that I had listened to it. Got it off of my TBR. Next, I finished The Golden Lily, which I vlogged. I gave this 4.75 stars. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Got that off the TBR, got that going. Then I received Our Infinite Fates. This was the Owlcrate book for March? February? I don't know if we get them in the month that they come out. I'm not really sure. I got this on the 17th. I have since read it, but I didn't read it in March, so we'll cover that at a later date. Then, also kind of on the 17th, because I went to the midnight release, I got Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is probably my next read, but I have not read it yet. Then on the 18th, I both acquired and read Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I got this copy from my local independent bookstore. I listened to the audiobook because John reads it. It was a 5-star for me. I am not sure that there's anything that John could write that wouldn't be a 5-star for me. I have like a deep parasocial relationship with this man and his things, so I think that I am really biased, but I think that that book was really excellent and people should read it. So, okay. So I actually read Beautiful Exile on the 17th, so I got it wrong in my little order here, but I acquired a copy on the 19th. I got an ARC, so I read it a couple days early. This is a 5-star for me. I love Catherine Cowles books. I love the Sparrow Falls series. But I went to an event that she was at in Chicago, and I acquired this copy of Beautiful Exile. We got one of the reversible dust jackets when we were there. It's this one with the pool scene. Love that. So that I acquired on the 19th, read it on the 17th, 5 stars. And then on the 22nd, I acquired my second copy of Everything is TD because there was an event in Iowa City, and I went and I got this copy, but again, I already read it, so just have 2, it's fine. While I was at that event, I also got my second copy of The Anthropocene Reviewed because he signed copies, and I have a hardcover that is signed, but now I have a paperback that is signed because I collect John Green books. Check out my TikTok if you want to see all of those. Pre these, I guess. And then also on the 22nd, I got in the mail my adult Owlcrate. This is Upon a Starlit Tide. It's really beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. Haven't read that yet, but did acquire it. I then read Wyatt by Jessica Peterson, which I gave 4.25 stars. This is a cowboy romance. It's childhood friends to lovers, secret tattoos, love it to bits. I really like that series. It is like the perfect like palate cleanser cowboy romance. Having really a lot of fun with those. I then acquired my second copy of Beautiful Exile. I had pre-ordered a signed and personalized copy from Cat Cowles' local independent bookstore. This one has the reversible dust jacket with the horses, which is the reason why I bought the one from there as opposed to one from my local independent bookstore, and then I ended up with 2 of them, and I had 2 dust jackets. Yay! These are gonna fall over. I got it. 1 second. I then read off of my TBR, Games Untold by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I gave this 4 stars. It's a collection of short stories following our characters and they're all like romance based. And so 2 of them are following our main girl and her love interest. And I'm not going to tell you who that is because if you haven't read this series at all, it is a love triangle in the first 3 books, and so I don't want to spoil it for you. But I picked the wrong side in the love triangle and I will not let go. And so I don't think I enjoyed it as much as if I was on that side of the love triangle. So it is what it is. I finished that on the 24th. Then on the 28th, I read My Silver Lining, or I guess I finished My Silver Lining by Laura Pavlov. I gave that 4.25 stars. I'm not as invested in this new series as I was with Magnolia Falls right from the jump. I think that Easton and Henley in the first book were really great, but not my favorite, like, personality for characters. And so I wasn't, like, as obsessed as I was with Romeo and Demi. And so this is following Rafe and Lulu. And I love Lulu. I love that she's, like, a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Love that about her. But yeah, I liked it. It was fine, but I'm not as, like, invested in the town yet, so I'm not, like, feeling the same way. Anyway, it was good and I enjoyed it. I'm excited to keep reading that series. I like the whole family aspect of that one. Then on the 29th, I was in Minneapolis with my dad. We went to Tropes and Trifles, which is a independent bookstore, like independent romance bookstore there, and I picked up Nora Goes Off Script. I read Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan last summer, and it is like one of my top books of last year. I loved it so much. I am lucky enough to currently have an arc of her new book on my Kindle, but I kind of want to read this Nora Goes Off Script and same time next summer her other 2 in her backlist before I read that one. But I couldn't find this one anywhere. It wasn't at my romance bookstore. It wasn't, like, I probably could have gotten it at Barnes & Noble, but I feel like I looked once and they didn't even have it. So I couldn't find it, but they had it, so I got it. And then as I was going to check out, they had this signed edition of Promise Me Sunshine, which is previously mentioned, maybe my top book of the year. So I did have to pick that up. But I had already read it, so it doesn't even count, right? Then on the 30th, we were on our way home and we stopped at Half Price Books and I picked up Educated by Tara Westover. I listened to this last year and it was on, like, the clearance thing for $4, and I love picking up a memoir I listened to through my library for under $5 at a Half Price Books, so picked that up for $4 to add to my collection of memoirs. Then on the 31st, I finished Scythe and Sparrow, which I had been reading for a while. I did, like, half audio, half physical read for this. I gave it, do I even know? I gave it 4 stars. I think that my favorite is still Butcher and Blackbird, the first book in this series, and I think that part of this was, like, right book, wrong time. I just, like, could not suspend my disbelief about the things that were occurring in this book in the way that I could in the first 2. Like, it is a little bit ridiculous generally that we're, like, following these 2 people who murder people and whatever, but in this one specifically, like, I like couldn't believe it quite enough, and so that led me to not liking it as much. But I do like this series. I think people should read it. It's, like, really fun, but I was, like, kind of skeptical the whole time. And then I listened to at work that day The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This just, like, happened to be on Hoopla or Libby or Spotify or something, and I just picked it up and listened to it, and I actually liked it quite a bit. I gave it 4.5 stars. I was, like, mostly right about what was happening, and so I liked that, but this I also finally got off of my TBR. So those are the things that I read and acquired. No one do the math for me about whether or not I acquired more books than I read off of my TBR, or read, period, because I'm pretty sure that in both cases the answer is I acquired more, and I don't want to talk about it. Hoping to read more off my TBR this month, but that is always the case. Hoping not to acquire as many books this month, but we're already at, like, 3, and I've only read 2, so, you know, it is what it is. Thanks so much for watching. If you're not Joey and you're not subscribed, feel free to do so. I post willy-nilly.